Chit Chat with Manoj is now going to roll in. This will be hosted by Mr. Manoj Singh, who is the CEO of Caesar Productions. Today, Mr. Singh's guests are very interesting. They are Dr. Sheikh Rahman and Dr. Parmit Singh. They will talk to us about HIV and AIDS. Let's join this trio in an interesting conversation.
Welcome to Chit Chat with Manoj. I'm Manoj Singh. Hello, Adab, Namaste. Today we are going to talk about HIV AIDS, a very important topic. We are going to talk about current situation, statistics, prevention, treatment, and also what is going on in the research field latest. And joining me for this discussion today are two very good scientists, Dr. Parmit Singh on my left from NIH, and Dr. Sheikh Rahman from National Cancer Institute. Welcome to both of you.
Thank you.
And so let's start with about yourself. Give us a little bit about your background, education, and also tell us what you're doing in HIV/AIDS field. Like what research are you doing?
Yep. So I hail from Sultanpur, Uttar Pradesh, India, and I did my higher education till masters in India. And then I moved to Germany. I joined University of Heidelberg for pursuing my doctoral studies in virology, and there I studied HIV. We did a very basic research, and then I came to US and joined National Institute of Health as a research fellow, and here I am studying how HIV forms itself and how it packages its genome to become an infectious virus to infect another cell.
Great. How about Parmit?
So I'm Parmit Singh. I'm from Bihar and district Siwan, from where the Rajendra Babu, first president of India, was there. And I did my PhD in Center for Cellular and Molecular Biology, Hyderabad. And in 2011, I joined National Institute of Health, Bethesda. And my work is to understand HIV integration mechanism in human cell line.
Very good. So we all know HIV/AIDS. I remember it was the early 80s that it was in the headline news. I remember actor Rock Hudson came out. They would say came out of the closet and talked about AIDS. Magic Johnson came out and talked about, and they were used to be. If you had AIDS, it was like you have only few months to live. And what I've seen lately is that, of course, the life has been extended. That means there have been must be new treatment. We'll talk about that. And Magic Johnson still lives. So let's hear from both of our guests what is going on, latest and greatest. Because now Ebola has been in the news, and HIV/AIDS, I don't hear much about it. So definitely something good is going on. So what is the current situation, Dr. Singh, in the world about HIV/AIDS, and particularly South Asian countries?
So as per the WHO reports, in 2015, 36.7 million people are currently living with HIV. And out of these, 2.8 million people got newly infected in 2015 only. And 1.8 million people from these are below the 15-year age. So they are children. So if you'll go in South Asia, 3.5 million people have HIV infection. And out of this number, only 2.1 million people are from India. And in 2015, 86,000 people got newly infected. So in fact, India is the third largest country. After Africa, it is having most of the people having the HIV infection.
So, but it has been contained. It has, as the numbers gone down.
Number has gone down recently due to so much powerful medicine or antiretroviral therapy, national policy of government, and also the so many educational program. This number is declining. 90% of transmission has been stopped.
So, Dr. Rahman, how does one get HIV/AIDS, and what are the different phases you go through?
So the primary source of HIV is having an unprotected sex, and although there are other sources like using infectious needle, drug abuse, all these things contribute to the HIV infection. but major is still the unprotected sex. So once one has the HIV infection, it spreads pretty fast actually. In 7 to 8 weeks, the HIV disseminates into the entire body and makes a reservoir inside the body. And if it's untreated, it goes latent, and then in 7 to 8 years, the people start developing the first symptoms like flu-like symptoms, and then their CD4 T cells, which is immune cells responsible for immunity, it's completely degraded. And because of that, there are a lot of opportunistic infections which people get, like tuberculosis, and then like in 7 to 8 or 9 years, actually people die. So that's the normal course of HIV.
And sometimes can just remain there and might not, I guess, multiply or show up as in other forms. That's why life is extended. I mean,
That comes with antiretroviral therapy that we have developed currently. So we have actually gone very far in terms of developing antiretroviral therapy. So people who get AIDS are now treated with antiretroviral therapy because we don't have a vaccine, and vaccine only prevents the new infection, not the existing one. So once you have the infection, you are put on the antiretroviral therapy, which basically inhibits the various stages of viruses, and it substantially have increased the lifespan of HIV-infected patients.
Very good. So, Dr. Singh, I mean, what are the different ways? I mean, what are the symptoms that one finds out that he has HIV/AIDS, and what are the immediate next steps?
So, as Rahman told, that one of the major source for infection is unprotected sex. So you have to do protected sex, and the moment you feel that there is a chance that you have got infection, you have to go to doctor, to meet doctor, get the test done, and see how much HIV titer is in your body. And if you are positive, then you have to start the antiretroviral therapy. So apart from this, you can protect yourself by don't using any drug, and if you are using drug, then take the sterile needle, be loyal to your partner, and if you are not loyal, then you should know the status of your partner about HIV.
Yeah, I remember back in the 80s or 90s, they would even trace the persons they met, I mean, and they had to report and all of that, and they were tested and all kinds of stuff. They used to do the whole tree.
Yeah.
So coming back to, so how can family members help, I know, and friends help in a situation like that? I mean, we are humans, one can get it, and how do we help? That, I think, is the most important question for especially in the South Asian community.
Yeah, see, once you are HIV positive, your family has to accept, your society has to accept, and the biggest question is that you yourself has to accept that this is nothing like very serious. You can live your life like you told at Michael Jansen, with medicine, there is everything, but there should be no discrimination. People in Asia and other countries, they actually don't like if HIV infected person cook the food. People feel that if I will eat that food, I will get the infection. So you have to discard this kind of mentality. You don't have to discriminate. You have to support your person, whether he is from your family or from society.
Yes,
Right.
very important.
Yeah, adding to that, actually now there's a lot of awareness programs, and current generation is very well aware, and there are a lot of good programs from Government of India side too. And I would like to add one information which might not be very popular or known to people, is that there is like rule now. So there is a bill that was passed in 2015 that the HIV infected patient has a right to get the treatment, so he cannot be discriminated at the health centers. So he has a right to get the treatment.
Because I remember earlier on, a lot of doctors used to in a subtle way,
Yeah.
Especially in India, would tell you, I mean, basically they didn't treat you.
Right.
And that was a very pathetic situation. But now there's a law, and I guess that's very good. Very good to hear that. What about US? So tell us something about where they can go and find more information. I'm pretty sure NIH has some websites, and some other national cancer institute might have it. I'm not sure because your field is different.
Right. So I mean, the biggest source is WHO. So they have their guidelines. They have all the details, like all the details of how the infection occurs, where they can go, what are the current regime. Every single detail is there on the WHO.
And again, I would get viewpoint from you, and that reason is because I know how South Asian community works, is what are the ways they should accept it and spread awareness and comfort people with HIV/AIDS. I know you touched upon it a little bit. Is there any other way we can reach out?
Right. So there is also like special programs by NACO. It's a National AIDS Control Association, which runs and regulates all the laws and implementation of the things that are used for controlling AIDS in India. And there are a lot of programs. One of them is like program run by Indian Railway, where there's a special railway that a special train that goes from place to place to spread awareness, and so far 10 million people have benefited with that.
Well, that's very nice. And so, Dr. Singh, tell us a little bit more about your research. Let's get a little bit more detail.
Yeah, so when I started my work, before my work, it was known that HIV prefers integration into human gene, and we have 25,000 gene. So HIV goes inside the gene and integrates and permanently fix. But the mechanism was not known. So when I started my work, I had the aim to understand the mechanism, and I showed that HIV prefers integration into highly spliced gene. And this highly spliced gene, in layman words, is that there are genes which after expression, there are unwanted segment, and the process of splicing removes that. So this is a splicing. So HIV prefers integration into genes which goes under a splicing mode. And this was finding. So I showed that the factor which targets HIV into highly spliced gene, LEDGEF, interacts with lot of a splicing factor, and this will give the opportunity to make new drugs to block this interaction between the factor which targets HIV and the splicing factor. So this will be new classes of drugs, whatever we have apart from that.
Thank you very much. And I really appreciate your work you're doing in this field. How about Dr. Rahman?
Yeah, so I would like to specifically mention about our recent work that got published in Proceedings of National Academy of Science of USA, which was about, so we settled our very old dogma that HIV, when it is made from cell, it packages its genome, which makes it infectious as a dimer. So we figured out where it dimerizes. So we showed for the first time using live cell imaging that it dimerizes on the plasma membrane of this cell, and then it gets packaged into the virus and making it infectious.
One of the things I would like to add is that both gentlemen, Rahman and Parmit Singh, are in the world's most renowned organization. That means they must be very good at their work. And Dr. Parmit Singh is now moving on to Harvard University, and I want to congratulate you. And they both touched upon it, and it's very important that as a society, as a family member, as a friends, it's not an infectious disease like you touch or they cough on you and you get AIDS or HIV/AIDS. There's like they all mentioned, one of the key ones is of course sexual or even blood transfusion, I think, and some other. What are the other ways?
I mean, any infectious exchange of fluid is contagious. So it doesn't go through saliva, it doesn't go through sweat. But yeah, if you are handling infectious blood, you should be careful that it doesn't touch your fluid in the body, otherwise it will go in. So sex being the main, all these are like the contributing ways of getting HIV, getting poked by infectious needle, for example, at a clinic or at a barber shop, being shaved by a used razor that was used by an infected person before. So all these are like very less contributing. The majority is still the sex and the sex workers and people with having sex with men, like MSM category, and the more economically weak categories like the truck drivers in India, because they most of the times are outside and they kind of do those sexual activities which are like.
So very quickly, summarize either one of you that what is the latest and what do we see in the light in the end of the tunnel? When do you think it will be completely cured? Because the problem is that one thing gets cured, then the other shows up. Like Ebola has become a big news. Tomorrow there might be any other virus. So what's going on?
Right. So as far as HIV is concerned, the WHO and worldwide, we are like stepping up the research to finish the HIV or contain the HIV by 2030. And basically, since getting a vaccine is very difficult, so we are having a very potential, regime, anti-retroviral therapy regime, which are basically cocktail of different pharmacological agents, and those are very effective. And future lies in that.
Okay, thank you. Do you want to add, Parmit?
So I just want to add that the biggest problem is the latency, because HIV goes and sits here inside our body, but we are near to solve that. 80% we have reached, or 70% we will solve this latency, that HIV becomes active, and then we'll cure.
Okay, thank you very much for both for coming on the show. I'll end with the two quotes. One is, they may forget your name, but they will never forget how you made them feel, Maya Angelou. And there's another beautiful one, only a life lived in the service of others is worth living, Albert Einstein. Thank you all the best, and like I always say, life is short, have fun, have no regrets.